The diet starts tomorrow, but the podcast starts now. What's going on, everyone? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, however you consume Talking Buffalo. I appreciate you guys so much. If you are not yet subscribed or following on the audio side, whether that's Apple or Spotify or on the YouTube side, make sure you subscribe. If you're watching this video, comment, like it. It really helps with that algorithm crap and helps us grow this show, quite frankly. So thank you very much. Big shout out to both our sponsors, Sunny Reds, 1841 Abbey Road, just on the way from Highmark Stadium. Awesome time of the year, too, to be there. Summer patio was kicking, just did a show Thursday night there. I'll talk about that in just a quick second. Great food, some of the best wings, literally, in Western New York. So big shout out, Sunny Reds. Also, Imperial Pizza, 2 locations, 1655 Main Street near Canisius College. And of course, the South Buffalo staple at 1035 Abbey Road in the heart of South Buffalo. The best lunch special you're going to get anywhere in town. Some of the best pizza anywhere. Most popular pizza joints, not just in Buffalo, but all of Western New York. All right, folks, welcome to our Monday podcast. Going to talk some James Cook, some serious developments going on with him. Injuries continue to bite the shit out of the Buffalo Bills. Some training camp observations from Sunday practice at St. John's Fisher, and plenty more. By the way, this is take 2 with this podcast. I already recorded this once, and my platform decided it would be a good time to take a shit on me. Technology has not been my friend, folks, over this last week or so. Actually, longer than that. I've had some pretty significant issues with streaming and the way we record, and quite frankly, it's really pissing me off. But I am committed to the bit. I'm committed to the gimmick. I'm committed to all of you. So I will gladly redo this show again so you hopefully can enjoy it. Couple quick things that I want to dive into, and I'm not going to make this a very long show. Got a big week here coming up here at Talking Buffalo. But anyway, I mentioned Sunny Reds just a minute ago. I want to give a big shout out one last time. Joe Marino, Jeremy White from WGR 550. Awesome show, live show this past Thursday. Fantastic show, fantastic turnout, fantastic reception. Those guys are just really cool dudes, man. They really, truly are. Now, I've gotten to know Joe quite well. I'd like to consider him one of my good friends in this podcasting field. He's been with me now live for the past 3 years. That was the first time I've had an extended conversation off camera with Jeremy White. Couldn't be cooler, man. It was a lot of fun. I pay attention to how guests on my show, if I do a live show, and I know there's some fans that come out to see them, I keep a watchful eye on how they interact with the fans. And I'm being dead honest with you folks. Joe and Jeremy, 2 of the more accessible, engaging sports media personalities that I've ever had on the show. The fans appreciate them, and they appreciate the fans just as well. Really cool stuff. Pretty wild. There was, a pretty nice crowd to watch it. I had a summer Thursday night. I don't take that lightly or take that for granted. And I'll tell you, especially with Joe Marino, I mean, I'm not telling you something you don't already know. He is the best Bills podcaster in the game today. I got no problem saying that, no qualms saying that, and I feel like most people feel the same. Certainly a lot of fans, because everywhere that dude goes, people come out to see him. There were people from all over, literally, at Sunny Reds on Thursday. There was some dude who sat there for maybe 20, 25 minutes with a Bills cornhole board, waiting for the show to wrap up so he could get his guy Joe Marino to sign for him. But anyway, again, awesome show, and I cannot thank Sunny Reds enough. The wings were the bomb. We had some brick oven pizza, a large one. The first time they've ever done it. They just debuted that now, a full-size brick oven pizza, and that shit was awesome, man. Really good times, good vibes. Plus, we got some free swag, by the way. If you can watch it on the video side, see, I got a nice little Sunny Reds t-shirt on. They gave us some hats. They gave Joe more shit than me, which was bullshit. He got an extra red shirt, 2 out of it or something like that. But yeah, big shout out to them. Great sponsor. Great show last Thursday. After practice, tracking practice and everything on Sunday being today, I'm recording this around 6:30 or so for a second time on Sunday. I did go to the Eating Cornfest on Sunday. First time I've been back there since I moved back to Buffalo in 2021. And I got to tell you, I love almost everything about the Eating Cornfest. I love how everyone converges on a small town. And I'm sure, it's Eden or small towns across this country of ours where they have something going on, a festival or whatever it may be, and everyone kind of converges on that small town for a weekend every year. Awesome. Great traditions. Tons, and I do mean tons, of tables with merch, all kinds of merch. I bought me 4 t-shirts, including, if I'm being honest with you, 2 that I didn't know it at the time, but they've become unofficial diet goals because I got a size too small. They definitely don't fit me, not even close. Probably at least 12 pounds or so away from looking pretty good on me. So we're going to call them incentive shirts going forward. But yeah, man, a lot of stuff going on. I'll tell you, no shortage of people who sell Buffalo shirts, like Bills or, not necessarily official licensed Buffalo Bills stuff, but like Bills Mafia type things. That whole do good, be good, whatever that Josh Allen phrase after winning MVP. I'm not shitting on it. It was a great thing to say, but man, that's just on every t-shirt, every poster, every hoodie, every baseball cap. You can't go 20 yards at a place like this and not see something like that being sold. But like I said, yeah, about 4 shirts. Well, I mean, nice little, here, pull up my camera if you're looking. Nice little pencil holder. I got a lot of pencils and markers and shit at my desk, so that'll look pretty good there as well. I got some stickers, a couple other fun things. Yeah, I love it, man. It's just, it's really cool, man. I mean, all carnival food, you got to go there. You got to eat. I got myself a nice steak hoagie sandwich. Of course, kettle corn. I am never going to go to a carnival or a lawn fete or whatever you want to call these things and not get me some kettle corn when I see it. It's just, that's not going to happen. Awesome shit, man. The only thing I don't love about it is it's just so damn busy. Holy shit. It was packed. And at the Eating Cornfest, some areas at least anyway, there's rows with tents and alongside sidewalks, so like 2 sides, and there's probably tents on each side that's maybe 8 to 10 feet at the most with width in between them. And some of those paths are really narrow. I mean, it would make for a long, annoying walk to get to like around the area where some of the food and the other attractions were going on. Like, if you don't have your A game with patience, a place like the Eating Cornfest is definitely not going to be for you. I mean, in every food spot, it was a long, like it was a battle of attrition, man. Most food spots anyway, pretty long line to wait. Even getting a soft drink was hard. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, a small price to pay for a very pleasant, beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Western New York. So I just want to make sure at the top here, I throw some shine to the Eating Cornfest. Very good time. Real quick, one other thing I want to mention, then we're going to dive into Sunday Bills stuff. Going back to last week, and I talked about it with Matt Warren on the show because it was literally happening. So last week, in real time, I had Matt Warren from SB Nation on, like I do every week. And there was a report from a podcast called Circle the Wagons. And I know a lot of people are skirting around the name. I'm not. If you're going to put something out there, you're going to own it, especially when you get well over 300,000 views in a handful of hours on your tweet, which turned out to be for all the wrong reasons. Good news for Bills fans, wrong reasons for them. But anyway, it was literally happening in real time where we thought Max Hairston went from having an ACL injury to finding out, nope, he just has an LCL sprain and he's going to be out week to week, as opposed to obviously the doomsday scenario of tearing his ACL and being out for an entire year or so. So it was kind of addressed in real time. If it's some time to reflect on it, there was a lot of people out there who thought that maybe I overreacted a little bit, that I was being really angry, and I was to an extent. But look, I'll say this a week later, almost a week later, half a week later, whatever this is. Whether you know another podcast or not, or a blog or any alternative media, it's kind of a community, and people get lumped in together, and it's unfair, but it's just the way it is. And when something that is that egregious, it's a bad look for the entire podcasting community. It is. Whether people want to agree with that or not, it is. There is a stigma that comes with having a podcast. And I don't care if you're just doing it as a little novice and you have an audience of 5 people who actually listen and download your podcast. I don't care if it's that. Or I don't care if you're Joe Marino and you got hundreds of people coming to see you at Buffalo Riverworks for a live show. All that and in between. At the end of the day, when something like that happens, it's a bad look. And I can't tell you how many times I talk to people when they say, well, what do you do? I say, I have a podcast talking about, I don't listen to podcasts. They're ridiculous. In mom's basement, blah, 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 all that shit. And these are the reasons why what happened last week, that a lot of people have those unfair, predetermined opinions about just everything as a whole. And that word source, I hate when people use that word source. I really do. But they not only use the word source, but they use the word confirmed, which was even potentially worse. And I had a strong reaction at the time, and some would call it an overreaction. Again, for a few reasons. I take issue with the word source just being tossed around so easily. Like, that was a reckless tweet. And I'm not trying to be malicious towards Circle the Wagons. They have 3 times the following on Twitter that I do. I have no issues with them before. I follow them on Twitter. They follow me on Twitter. I've listened to a couple of their podcast episodes before. I've heard some of their clips. Pretty entertaining stuff. I got no issue with them. They're kind of a let's talk about the news of the day type of podcast, and they do it pretty damn well for the most part, okay? So I want to be clear on that. But that specifically, that was a reckless tweet, all right? That was a reckless, egregious tweet that you use the word source and you use the word confirmed in it. It's just, you can't do that, man. Either, listen, when something is off by that much, it's one or two things. Either there was no source to begin with, and those guys decided to take an educated guess based on what it felt like, what the vibes felt like, that Max Hairston likely had torn his ACL. I mean, we saw the footage. I was at camp on Tuesday when it happened. It was kind of came out of nowhere. You see the footage. He's down. He's getting worked on. He's got his head down on a trainer's shoulder. Players are talking about praying for him after practice. It certainly felt like that was torn ACL city, right? So they probably assumed and decided to take a chance. Let's be first on this. We're going to take an educated guess that he tore his ACL. That's what I think. Because if you do have a source, that is the worst source ever, because there's nothing that was even in the atmosphere of being accurate about it. And then to make matters worse, you say confirmed. That means your source confirmed it, or you confirmed what your source told you. But either way, man, come on, dude. Biggest issue for me, though, was how it was handled afterwards. They said botched source information, followed by a few comic relief type of gifts, poking fun at themselves, and then bam, they just deleted that tweet. That bothered me. It still bothers me right now. You can tell. There's a difference between people saying, I accept accountability, and actually accepting accountability. I'm seeing way too much just generally with shit like that with people lately. It's frustrating. And I know I shouldn't give a shit. And people have told me I shouldn't give a shit. But it's that kind of stuff, like I said, I feel like it gives podcasters, content creators, bloggers, alternative media, generally speaking, just a bad name. Like I said, it's already a stigma as it is. You work hard. You want people, at least some people do anyway, you work really hard and you want people to take you serious. You want to do things the right way. You want to be professional about it. Even if it's not a professional podcast, you want to act like a professional. But I feel like when something like that happens, it sets podcasters back big time. And we're all lumped together, whether it's fair or not. And the lesson from this, if you are just a fan, or if you're a podcaster, alternative media, whatever it may be, if you didn't know this already, let that be a lesson. Let it be a teaching point. It is for me. It's definitely a big reminder for me. And that's this. Be right, not first. Very common expression, but it matters. It's so true. It's better to be right than it is to be first. It's a lesson that needs to be understood. And trust me, I've learned that lesson the hard way. I screwed up before many years ago in the past, and I paid a pretty big price for it. So maybe that's why I'm like uber sensitive to all this stuff going on, right now when something like that happens. And like I said, where do you go from there? I don't know. I don't want their podcast to get canceled. I don't necessarily want people to not follow them on Twitter anymore. I don't want them to turn heel on them, using a wrestling term, all the fans, and shit on them every time they say something. But I would like to see personally, if it hasn't happened already, and if it is, I guess I would apologize for it. But I'd like to see some on their show or whatever, some true, legitimate remorse that they put something out that was that egregious, and just have it be authentic. Have it be authentic and learn from it. You work really hard. I know they've worked really hard to gain an audience, to build trust. And the way it goes in this industry, and I'm sure pretty much any other, people love to bring you up to tear you down. And you work really hard and you build that trust over days, months, weeks, years. And in one swoop, you can ruin it all. And I just hate to see that shit happen. I hope it doesn't happen to them. But that kind of stuff, it just cannot happen. And like I said, it's just a really bad look. So anyway, quick break, come back. James Cook, injuries, some training camp observations from Sunday. All right, back here, Monday podcast, going over stuff that's been going on with the Buffalo Bills. Well, let's start with James Cook, folks. James Cook basically held in on Sunday. This is big news, and by all accounts, very unexpected now. James Cook reported on time. That wasn't a surprise because we knew he didn't want to get fined. He said that. That was a reason why he would be at training camp. So it would have been, not a surprise if he came to camp, but he was holed in right off the bat. But that wasn't the case. He was a full participant through the first 8 practices. And in fact, I thought not only was he out there, but he was looking electric in doing so. I pointed this out several times on the show over the past week, or 4 straight practices that I was at. I said there were a lot of times where if you take Josh Allen away, James Cook looks like the best player on the field for this football team. One play specifically that still sticks out for me on Tuesday was him taking an outside handoff and Taylor Rapp trying to get to the perimeter, and James Cook saying, no, I'm going to get there first. And Cook got like a 12, 15-yard gain before he went out of bounds. And my first thought was, I really like Ty Johnson and I really like Ray Davis, but those dudes ain't getting into that corner on Taylor Rapp. That's not going to be a 12, 15-yard play. That's going to get stuffed near the line. He's just looked really, really good. So he was all in, very much committed to looking good, and he did, and he has. But this was the drama that everyone, except maybe James Cook and his financial team, were hoping to avoid. And I want to be really careful right now to not overreact, which is definitely not in my wheelhouse to be sensible and rational at all times. I accept that. I know that. But we'll see how the next few days play out. It could, to me, what happened on Sunday represents 2 things. Okay? Either A, the sides are close to a deal. I did hear Tom Pelissero say, and I'm quoting him here, the sides have been engaged, and from his understanding, they have not been that far apart through the course of talks. I found that pleasantly surprising. So maybe James Cook and the Buffalo Bills, they're close, and he doesn't want to take a chance of getting hurt as they get near that finish line. And to be perfectly honest with you, if that is the case, then I don't blame him whatsoever, because, hell, man, James Cook's got a set of eyes. He's in that locker room. He's seeing how many guys are getting hurt already. He doesn't want to take a chance of getting hurt. Max Hairston almost blew out his ACL in a non-contact drill. James Cook, do you think that doesn't go unnoticed on James Cook? Hell no. So maybe they're close, and he just doesn't want to take a chance of getting hurt right now as they near a deal. And I completely would understand that. Or there is the other option, B, on the other side. James Cook views it as, hey, I showed up to camp. I participated for 8 practices. I have shown you good faith. I've participated fully. I've looked really good. And guess what? I'm now frustrated that these sides are not close to a deal at all. I'm not close to a deal with the Buffalo Bills at all. I'm pissed off. I'm over it. I tried option A. That shit ain't working. So now James Cook is switching to option B, an option we all thought was in play for a lot of the offseason and potentially, anyway, is coming to fruition right now. The thing that's so fascinating, and it's been fascinating, and we're not going to do it today. We're not going to have an evaluation of James Cook and what he's worth. We're not going to go down that road yet again. We've beaten that drum plenty, folks. But the fascinating thing is based on how much he plays versus what he does when he's on the field, all that other stuff. I think James Cook, I think the Buffalo Bills, I think everyone agrees that James Cook should be paid what he's worth. And I think we can all agree that the Buffalo Bills are a significantly better offense with James Cook on the field than without him. The $1 million, actually, I take that back. The several $1 million question, folks, is how much exactly is James Cook worth? One thing's for sure, HBO is going to be all over this shit. Hard Knocks premieres Tuesday night, 9 p.m., and if they were still kind of searching for a headline story to really ramp it up and get the audience hooked in, maybe the Max Hairston injury scare, what was the big story? Now it very well may be, especially if he's not practicing on Monday either, or holding in, I should say. James Cook might have just given you HBO their prime content. So there's that. Back to the injuries. Khalil Shakir, just the latest meaningful injury. Shakir got his ankle rolled up during Friday's scrimmage, the blue and red scrimmage on a running play. High ankle sprain is the diagnostic of it. Sean McDermott called it a week-to-week thing. Definitely puts him in the crosshairs of being ready to start the season in week 1, at least in some jeopardy. Now, Khalil Shakir is far and away the Bills' most consistent and reliable pass catcher. Hell, he's their best one, okay? Let's just say what it is. It's a big deal, him being out. I noted on Sunday during practice that with Shakir being out, as well as James Cook, who we talked about, Josh Palmer, who was limited, didn't really do any team stuff at all, and Curtis Samuel, who's been out since basically the beginning of camp, that this offense on Sunday, even with the reigning MVP, arguably the best player in the game today, Josh Allen, even with him, this offense kind of stinks with those guys gone. This offense, without Khalil Shakir, without James Cook, without Josh Palmer, who was their big ticket offense free agent, a big part of plans for this offense this year, those guys all out. Not just, or you could throw in Samuel too. Offense kind of stinks without those guys. Now, the good thing about Khalil Shakir is he's had this before, okay? And he was fine when he returned, so he's not new to this. That expectation, I think, is the same right now as well, but still, without question, it is a blow to the Buffalo Bills offense, an offense that just, the wide receiver room cannot stay healthy. I mean, what are we talking here? So Shakir's out. Samuel's been out. Elijah Moore's already been hurt. Tyrell Shavers has already been hurt. KJ Hamler has already missed time. It's just Josh Palmer. It's crazy, man. It's wild. And I can't imagine this is doing Josh Allen any favors right now as he's trying to really develop cohesiveness and chemistry with this group. So that's something to be concerned about. Beyond Shakir, not practicing, I should say, both safeties missed practice on Sunday. Taylor Rapp with the knee, Cole Bishop with a quad, which he hurt last week. Also, of course, again, no Samuel, no Dorian Williams, no Tyler Bass, no Cedric Van Granger. Shet Thompson got hurt during the scrimmage on Friday. Alec Anderson, knee surgery procedure, whatever. He's week to week. And then, of course, Max Hairston. None of those used practice. If you're looking for any kind of silver lining with injuries, Terrell Bernard, limited. That's good news. Hopefully that means he's close to being back. He has barely played. The good news is that it's kind of given him, it's given both Joe Andreessen and Bale Inspector a chance to really have a good battle for that backup middle linebacker job. I still think both of them ultimately are going to make this team. But which guy will get that call if Bernard can't go during a game or whatever? And I will point out, Balen Spector did have a nice interception on Sunday. But anyway, Bernard limited, Josh Palmer was limited, Reggie Gilliam limited. In terms of specific Sunday takeaways here, quickly, I don't want to take up much more of your time for this episode, but a great day for A.J. Epinesa. Won some reps, had probably, certainly the defensive play of the day, had a nice pick six. Josh Allen was trying to throw the ball in the flat. It was intended for Ty Johnson. Epinesa got a ball, or hand on the ball, knocked it in the air, caught the deflection, bam, to the house for a would-be pick six touchdown. I feel like A.J. Epinesa has been pretty solid every time I've seen him. Like, not sure he's ever going to put up bigger numbers than what he has previously. Like, he's been a 6.5 sack guy per year player, and I feel like that's what you can expect reasonably from him again this year. He is who he is, but he is a guy who can make splash plays, and hopefully you hope that they come in key moments, and you hope that he does like what he did on Sunday, and we've seen it a couple times in regular season games too. You hope he just does that with a little more regularity. Now, opportunity-wise, with Joey Bosa's workload, I would imagine is going to be lighter we've already seen it in camp. I think the Bills are going to be cautious with him to start the season. I don't think he's going to be playing all that much. He might get Von Miller's snap share percentage like Von did last year to start the season, and then it ramps up. But so you're going to have that. Michael Hoyt's going to be suspended for the first 6 games. Landon Jackson is a rookie with plenty of potential, but somebody who's a little bit wet behind the ears. I don't think he's going to get forced on the field too much. So I think there's going to be plenty of run for A.J. Epinesa to go out there. And again, I don't necessarily know that he's going to be more than a 6 to 7 sack guy. I don't expect him to suddenly be a guy who's going to get you 11 sacks or anything like that. But if he can make impactful, flashy plays like he did on Sunday, that'd be a really good lift for the Bills defense. Speaking of, another good day on the whole for the defense, particularly the defensive line, which is I feel like it's become a theme lately. And perhaps a little more understandable, the offense really struggling. First of all, defense is usually ahead of the offense early on in camp to begin with, but you got all these wide receiver injuries and shit going on. Spencer Brown hasn't even really played at all yet this training camp. Dawson Knox, ditto. So I can understand why the defense is having earlier success, but let's not take anything away from let's not just chalk it all up to offensive injuries. A lot of guys on this defense has looked pretty good. None so more than Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver has looked borderline unblockable for a lot of camp. And I'll tell you what, that's not new. If you've been going to Bills camp for the last 5 years or so, there's days where Ed Oliver looks like the second coming of Aaron Donald. He really does. Then there's other days where, I don't know. I'm not saying he mailed it in, but it's not full throttle Ed Oliver. I feel like you're getting a lot more full throttle Ed Oliver during these first 8-9 practices than ever before. And we could talk about Joey Bosa, and we could talk about other free agent signings, and we could talk about using 3 picks on defensive linemen in the draft. But I'll tell you what, folks, at the end of the day, Ed Oliver is still the straw that really stirs the drink for this unit. And again, sticking with that, I keep hearing and see some clips, talk to some people. TJ Sanders, the second-round rookie, looks like he's improving with each practice. Word is very noticeable on Sunday, and I mean that in a good way. I think he's going to play a lot as a rookie. I mean, you got Daquan Jones, who the Bills aren't cutting him. There's no reason to. He's not going anywhere. And Ed, I think Sanders is that first defensive tackle, to get in that rotation. He'll play plenty with Ed in pass rush downs. He might play plenty with Ed or some with Daquan in run downs as well, too. So I think he's going to get plenty of run. And you're starting to see why the Bills liked him enough that they traded up in round 2 to go get him. And they also traded up in round 4 to go get Deion Walker. And he had a few nice reps during teamwork as well. Again, not overly flashy, not really jumping off the page at you, so to speak, these rookies, but Sanders and Walker They're both making progress, and I feel like that's becoming more and more visible with each practice. Obviously, a really good sign. New assistant coach, D-line guy, Lance Nielsen, is doing some really, really good work over there. I'm going to stick with the defensive line one more time, and I'm going to go to a guy that if you watch this show, if you listen to the show regularly, you know that I've been high on him well before training camp even started, and that's Javon Solomon. Javon Solomon had a really nice run stuff for what would have been a loss. A few other good reps as well. Had a few really, really good segments at practice last week. You already know how I feel about the guy. And after what I thought, to be honest with you, because I was high on him and I've been paying attention to him, I thought he had a pretty slow start to camp. I saw a couple of media people, tweeting that he was looking good out there, and I was in the stands and I want him to, but I was like, I don't really know. I don't see it, man. But I'm seeing it now. He's turning the corner. He's looking really, really good. He's been ramping up, and he's catching the eye of the media, and they're talking about him a lot more. And I will stick to what I said. A guy who I think, depending on how much he could play, is going to get you 4 to 8 sacks this season. I think he could have a role very similar to what a Leonard Floyd does. Now, I'm not saying physically he reminds me of Leonard Floyd, but role-wise, he does. Leonard Floyd. Or hell, man, even Von Miller the last couple of years. Like that kind of role. Pure pass rush specialist who, just like Von Miller, is actually, a little bit better run stopper than given credit for as well. I see the opportunity for Javon Solomon, and I'm glad to see that the second-year 5th-round pick is starting to really take advantage of it. Last point that I'm going to make for today, and we're going to go to the safeties here. So with Taylor Rapp out, with Cole Bishop out, Damar Hamlin was getting all the first-team runs. That's not surprising. Cam Lewis getting a lot of first-team run, though, at safety was a little bit to me. Rookie Jordan Hancock continuing to get a little more run there at safety. He was playing until last Tuesday, because I was there, he was playing exclusively slot corner before that, and they started getting him some looks now at safety. Why that's interesting to me is I find it really interesting how Derek Forrest has become, it feels like a complete afterthought already with this team on the depth chart. Like, no Rapp, no Bishop. This would have felt like a great opportunity. Let's get Hamlin and Forrest out there with the first team. Let's run them all day. And hey, man, let's have ourselves a little competition. Let's see what Derek Forrest could do. But no, he was still only the third safety up, even without the 2 starters. It confuses me a little bit, to be honest with you. I liked Derek Forrest. I liked the free agent signing early in free agency too, by the way. I mean, this is a guy who was a starter in 2022 with Washington. He had 4 picks. Looked like a good young player. He got hurt, so he didn't play in 2023. Kind of got lost in the shuffle of a new regime in Washington last year. And he's clearly been lost so far anyway in the shuffle with the Buffalo Bills. Let's put it this way, man. I hope Derek Forrest right now is like running month to month in Orchard Park, I would assume, and that he didn't sign a 1-year lease, because I'll tell you, I'm not very confident at all right now that Derek Forrest is making this roster. If I was doing a 53-man roster projection right now, and I probably will do one sometime this week before before preseason starts, he ain't on my team. He's not on this team. Not because I don't want him to. It's just based on what I'm seeing. Derek Forrest better have himself an outstanding preseason. Let's just put it that way. And I'm worried about the safety position just generally as a whole. Damar Hamlin is who he is, okay? We all know that. He is fundamentally sound. He will not miss a lot of tackles. He will handle the responsibility in front of him. If you make a mistake and you give him an opportunity to make a play, he will do it. We saw I think he had 3 interceptions last year. He tackled Lamar Jackson by his ankle and Lamar dropped the ball. Whatever. Or at least Damar Hamlin was in the mix to be in position to make a play. You get what I'm saying? He does a lot of things well, and Sean McDermott loves him. On the other side, he's just not a good athlete. He's just limited athletically. He can't run when it comes to certain situations. If he doesn't use, leverage or whatever, he's going to get smoked. It's just what it is with Damar Hamlin, right? I'm surprised the Bills didn't invest more in that position this offseason, I guess is what I'm saying. I thought they did. You bring back DeMar Hamlin and you sign Derek Forrest. I'm like, all right, here we go. But again, Derek Forrest has been, man, he could have been a guy that you signed at the beginning of June off the streets based on how they're using him right now. And this is a position and two guys who are starters who, you got to question their availability. I like Taylor Rapp, but guess what? Taylor Rapp has been injured and didn't play in not just last year, but the last two playoff elimination losses for the Bills. That concerns me. Cole Bishop, bothered by an injury last summer, fell behind, couldn't get back. He was behind all of last season because of it. Gets hurt, dinged up in the spring, and now he's got a quad issue, so he's hurt again. So it's been more the same with him this spring and this summer as it was last year. I don't like that. That concerns me. I'll tell you, the Bills are not in good cap shape. We all know that. Brandon Beane would have to do a little bit of cap magic or maneuvering, whatever you want to call it, to make some potential moves for guys that are not on this roster. But if there's a position where I could see the Bills wanting to add, maybe not a starter, because I do think talent-wise they got the guys they want, but a good, reliable depth option maybe, safety could be that spot. Like safety is a position that I would definitely keep my eyes on over the next few weeks. All right, folks, and on that note, that's going to do it for today. I mentioned Matt Warren earlier in the show. Matt Warren is going to be at practice on Monday. Notable because practice is actually closed to the public on Monday. It's the one practice at St. John's Fisher that they don't distribute tickets to fans for. So closed practice on Monday. However, Matt has a media credential, so he will be on the field, which is going to be awesome. He'll observe everything that's going on, and then he's going to join me sometime on Monday to record after practice. He'll let me know what he saw, some observations, some takeaways from that. So that will be recorded Monday for the podcast on Tuesday. Got some pretty cool things lined up throughout the week. I'm expecting, not confirmed, but I am expecting to go back to Rochester to be at the last two practices at camp, Wednesday and the final practice Thursday. Of course, I love doing that because that gives me firsthand observations and stuff like that. And assuming I'm there, I will be recording directly from Pittsburgh. So stick around for that. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Be back. Brand new show. Matt Warren from SB Nation joins me tomorrow.